Everything's looking good. Don't know if you want to go ahead and start without our city administrator.
We can start. I'm sure he'll join us momentarily.
Ron is trying to join us.
Okay. So I will call to order the Monday, November 8th, 2021 open session of this Bishop City Council meeting. It is currently 6:01 p.m. and I want to begin today with recognizing this tragedy that hit our community this past week. And so if you guys could please join me in a moment of silence in memory of Quinn Murphy, Shaylee Dondero, and Lucy Elizarraz. Yes, please join me for a moment of silence. It's always a tragedy, and especially one when such young lives and such potential is taken from us. And we will begin today with our invocation by Pastor Jake Evangelist of the Neighborhood Church in Bishop. So please stand for that.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. Appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to our amazing community. If you allow me to pray, I'll begin. Father, we thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for this beautiful place that we call home. This place tucked up in the mountains called Bishop, California. And it's a wonderful place, a place where many people come to visit. Many people come to get away and vacation. People travel through, and with that comes a lot of busyness and a lot of things that need to be taken care of, decisions on how monies are allocated, how our community is managed. And so, Father, you have placed these amazing people to lead this city. And Father, I just thank you for them. I thank you for their diligence. I thank you for their wisdom. I thank you for their knowledge. I thank you that you, Lord God, have placed them in this prominent place called City Council. So, Father, we just ask that you bless them tonight as this meeting continues. We ask that you would just give them the wisdom and give them the knowledge that they needs to make good decisions for our people, for our community. And Father, if I could pause and again just reflect on the lives that were lost this previous week, Lord, I pray that you bless their families, and Lord, just give them peace where there seems to be none. And again, Father, we just lift up the family to you. And again, I lift up this council to you. Thank you so much. Bless them, bless their families. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Okay. And today our Pledge of Allegiance with Veterans Day coming up on Thursday, November 11th. The city would like to recognize our veterans and our U.S. military servicemen and women by asking VFW member Police Chief Standridge to lead the Pledge of Allegiance on behalf of the VFW and American Legion.
Please stand, everyone. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Robin, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Kong,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Ellis is still not with us, but is expected. Absent at this time. Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz,
Here.
Mayor Mahovey.
Here. A public comment. Notice to the public this time is set aside to receive public comment on matters not calendared on the agenda. Jim just joined us at 6:05 p.m. When recognized, please state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Under California law, the city is prohibited from generally discussing or taking action on any items not included on the agenda. However, we may briefly respond to comments or questions from members of the public. Robin, do we have any public comment on our email?
No public comment in our public comment email. And I
Do we-
do not, go ahead.
Do we have any raised hands?
I do not see any raised hands. Jenny, can you confirm?
There are no raised hands.
Thank you.
Okay, then we will now welcome the Bishop Union High School Associate Student Body and Student Senate Representative Karen Rivas to provide with us the Bishop Union High School Associate Student Body and Student Senate update. Hi, Karen.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Karen Rivas, and I am the sophomore class president. Following last meeting's report, ASB was able to have a successful homecoming that brought joy to the student body after not having homecoming last year. ASB has continued to plan more events for the following weeks and next year. We have planned a drive-in movie theater for December 10th. Our annual Man of the Year show is set for February 2nd of 2022, and the talent show is planned for March 16th. Among the set events, we plan to have more spirit weeks with prizes for the winning homeroom classes. We are pleased to inform that the student store, where students can buy snacks and school apparel / spirit, is a go and is set for its grand opening on November 30th. ASB will continue to find more ways to increase the spirit in our student body and hopes to continue to inform you all about our future plans. Thank you. And now I will move on to the Student Senate report.
Okay.
Once again, thank you to the City Council for providing the Student Senate the time for our report during these meetings. I would like to open by reading the Senate's mission statement. Bishop High School Student Senate is a form of student government dedicated to receiving and projecting the student body voice to the community and the Bishop Unified School District through the following: promoting student interests, needs, and welfare, acting as an intermediary between staff, administration, board, and students, serving our community and school with integrity and passion. We are committed to serving all of our students, regardless of individual differences, including, but not limited to, age, cultural background, disability, ethnicity, domestic situation, gender presentation, immigration status, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, and social economic status. Following up on the new projects the Senate has decided to take up, we have presented them to admin and we received positive feedback towards all of our projects. We plan to have club representatives at our next open panel meeting to have them further involved in any needs that they have. One of the first projects that we will start on is painting the bathroom stalls in the English building. In a joint force with ASB, we plan to paint them during winter break. As for the trophy case, we are beginning to look for volunteers, contractors, and anyone to possibly help us fit the trophy case into our school's current infrastructure and make sure that it looks the best it can. A project the Senate would like to bring to BUHS is a local studies class of the indigenous culture we have here in the Owens Valley. This project will take a lot of work, but administration is interested, and we are willing to work to make it happen. Check-ins are still being sent out to the student body, and participation still remains large. The Student Senate will continue to work hard to beautify and unify our school. Additionally, the Student Senate's next open panel meeting is on November 10th, being held in the Carlin Boardroom at 6 p.m. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening and stay safe.
Thanks, Kara. Any questions, comments from the council?
Thank you for the report, Karen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Stay safe. Have a great school year.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have our County of Inyo update report prepared and presented by 2nd District Supervisor Jeff Griffiths. Hey, Jeff.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I assume you have received my written report, so I won't repeat everything there, but I'll just highlight a couple of things. First, I want to thank the city for their very thoughtful letter of recommendation of renaming the Consolidated Office Building after the recently passed Clint Quiltzfer. It was a very, very nice letter, and there was a host of other letters of support that were written. So we're hoping to be able to take care of that tomorrow and name the building in his honor. I will cover redistricting really quickly. It's a really big deal for the county, perhaps not as big of a deal for the city, in that it looks like the incorporated city of Bishop is the perfect population for 1/5 of the population of Inyo County for a supervisorial district. So it looks pretty much certain that the District 2, which I represent, which is what represents the city of Bishop, will just be the incorporated city of Bishop. But however, there will be a whole bunch of other changes throughout the rest of the districts, which could be of importance to the community at large. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on some of the COVID situation we have now. As you all know, we have extremely high rate of COVID at this moment. It has been going down over the last week, so we're hoping that we pass the peak, but nonetheless, we remain at an extremely high level. So the masking order is in effect for all public places, and there has been quite a few changes for vaccinations, in that the Pfizer was approved for ages 5 to 11. And also booster doses were approved for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, including mixing and matching those various booster doses. So there's quite a few public clinics that are coming up, both for the pediatric and for the boosters and first doses. And I detailed those in my report, and those are all available on the website. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So yeah, just so everybody at the public is who's watching, this is in the report, the pediatric doses for Pfizer for children 5 to 11. You can actually get your child vaccinated tomorrow between 1 and 4 p.m. at the County Consolidated Office Building. So yeah, it's great, Jeff.
All right, well, thanks everyone.
Okay. Thanks. Then we will move on to our department reports. First up, we have Fire Chief Joe Dell.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. How am I coming through tonight?
You good?
No screeching or horrible noises in your ears?
None other than your children.
I got the door closed. So the first thing I wanted to say tonight, and hopefully I'll make it through without crying, because you guys know that I cry at the break of anything. Our hearts go out to the families of the 3 young ladies. Couldn't make it. Anyways, there's not a member of our department who's not affected. We continue to support our team with critical stress debriefing and other support needs. You know, as a small town volunteer, it's impossible to avoid going on these gut-wrenching calls. And I'm super proud of our team and the service that they continue to provide our community. So anyways, hearts go out to them. And speaking of team, on a more light note, I get to introduce Megan Doonan tonight, which is amazing. It's been a long time coming for us. She's our new fire prevention officer. She was hired in a competitive job process. She's got prior inspection experience with her 4 years at the Los Angeles Fire Department. She left the big city for Hamel Valley living, and she's now up here with us, and we're lucky to have her. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Megan Doonan, whose first day was today.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Megan.
Thanks. Super excited to be here and to meet everyone in person.
Fire prevention officer. I mean, we definitely need a lot of that. So.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that Megan's going to be able to bring down our call volume. She's going to bring us up to compliance with state code. She's already solved several problems for us today. She's hit the ground running. She's got the books open and is ready to figure out fire hydrant flows for Dan Tothrow up in the Meadow Creek area. And so she's off and running, and I'm excited to have her on part of the team. And I know that she's going to help move the department forward. And that's all I've got for my report. And I'll be back with several different items later.
Thanks, and definitely welcome, Megan. Yeah, we've been looking for the funding to be able to fill this position for quite a while now, because it's definitely one of our top priorities in the services for the community, and we're really looking forward to see all the great work you do. Thanks.
Thanks so much. So happy to be here.
Okay, next up, Police Chief Richard Standridge. Hey, Rich.
Hey, how is everyone tonight? So just a couple of quick things to cover. We went live with Citizen RIMS today, and part of that's going to be tweaking and getting the program right over the next couple of weeks, getting some data in there. And once we really feel comfortable with it and the information that it has available to us and how we're going to get it out to the public, I'll do a mass press release and let everybody know how to use it, how to access it. It's got a lot more tools than we originally thought. So we're going to be able to expand our information even more, vacation checks and different things that citizens can now go online and enter themselves that will come directly to us without having to, call into dispatch and do that type of legwork. A lot will be able to be done from home. A lot of communication will be able to go back and forth, and the information we can get out to the public, which is really, really good. So I'm really happy that it's going to give us a lot more than I initially anticipated. Staff was really excited today when we were getting the training. We started the training this afternoon at like 2 o'clock. We thought we were just getting a basic training on how to use it, and Jessica Sita really got into it, and Rich Watt, and we're ready to go live. So like I said, once it's ready to go, I'll make a mass press release. The other thing, we had a really good trunk or treat. The turnout was awesome. Dan McElroy and his staff were fantastic. The effort that went into that event is definitely applaudable and nothing short of fantastic. I was really impressed with that being my first Halloween event here. Just getting out to meet the public. Councilmember Garcia, I really appreciate you participating, sir. That was very welcomed by everyone there. And pretty much that's it. I'm going to turn it over to Destin unless council has any questions for me.
No questions for me. Anybody?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to mention, Chief, whenever you have that press release ready to announce RIMS, let's make sure we do that in Spanish as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'd be interested in hearing how our academy goers are doing.
One has pulled out. He's no longer interested in working for the city of Bishop, but that's for a conversation for another time. And the other one's doing well. She's still on track. Be ready to go. She was here. Matter of fact, she was at the trunk or treat with her family. She got some time off and she was able to stop by and see us. And once she graduates the academy, I told her she needs to take a few days off, get a breather, take some time with her kids and family, maybe, take a little break and then get ready to hit the ground running. And she's excited. And our trainee also, I forget to mention her because she's doing so well. She's doing really, Rochelle's doing fantastic, and she's right on schedule and exactly where she should be for this level of training. And we see a lot of good things in the future from her.
An additional comment that I would like to make is that I drive after work around town for one or another reason. And I frequently see her or somebody else patrolling our street, and that's a good thing. I have seen more vehicles being stopped for valid reasons, I'm sure, but that is a good thing to see our police officers out there in the community.
Thank you. I'll relay that information, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you. And it was my pleasure being there at the trunk or treat with all of you guys. It was great. Thank you.
And thank you, sir. All right, I will see you later.
That's perfect. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Next up, Public Works Director, Destin Deshawn.
Good evening, Mayor Mahalvi and council. So several things to report to you. I met with our newly hired grant consultants this last week, and it was some very positive news. It looks like we have the potential to apply for pretty large sum of money for any construction that we may do with wastewater treatment facilities, which is great news. The city qualifies as a disadvantaged community, so it makes us much more grant eligible. And there's also up to $500,000 for design of anything that we want to build. So we're working actually rather quickly trying to get some of those applications filled out in the next week or so. Had a very good meeting with the executive director of the Lahontan region of the State Water Quality Control Board. Very positive. He was in this area for a lot of years, left, and now he's back after about 5-year absence from the state, but very positive, willing and wanting to work with the Bishop community on wastewater treatment and the future of it, and give us adequate time to make good, solid decisions when we do it. So that was a super positive meeting. I want to mention again our fall street sweeping program. So we started sweeping last week on a regular basis on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So we'll ask everybody on Wednesdays not to park on the west and north sides of each street. And then on Thursdays, it'd be the east and south side. When there's large amounts of leaves out there, every time that sweeper has to make a sharp turn around parked cars, you just leave a ton of leaves out there that just make a mess. And so if we can, anything that all of our citizens can do to help work with those, that would be greatly appreciated. And we are at one sweeper right now, waiting for a part for our second sweeper. So even tougher on one sweeper to get it done. Let's see. Rich Sandrich and Chief Sandrich and I have been meeting with the chamber and everybody involved to make a Christmas parade happen. It's another meeting Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have all those details locked up and ready to go. It's hard right now with all the law enforcement being so understaffed to come up with enough law enforcement to cover all the intersections that need detours at them. But we'll get it figured out. On kind of a not a good note, we received no bids, 0, for the trunk line project. So we have a next option to start trying to negotiate with contractors or a contractor to get the work done. I have found 2 that are very interested. We have never had an issue of not enough bidders. It's usually more than enough. But for whatever reason, several of these contractors I spoke to in the last week didn't know about the job. So we learned not only that, we learned other ways to advertise out there that will get more, typically our internet site, the website for the city of Bishop, they have continual search engines looking for projects. And for whatever reason, this one got missed, but I'm confident that I'll be able to work something out within our budget. And it actually gives us a little bit more control over the process this way. The public works crew is in full into water leak season during the winter when the water pressure gets high. The guys did a great job. 2 mainline repairs over the weekend. They kept busy. And let's see, what else do I have here? And on kind of an interesting note, on Wednesday, I will be meeting with a consultant who designs solar arrays on top of ponds that actually float. Yeah, and thinking about the potential of a new plant that's much more energy hungry than what we have now. We have 40 acres of ponds that those panels potentially could go on top of. So if nothing else, it's brand new technology. It also helps with the treatment of wastewater as well, getting the sun out of those ponds. So very interesting. I'll be excited to report to you what I learned. But other than that, unless you have questions of me, that's all I have.
Well, that's a lot of great progress. Yeah. Jim, did you raise your hand? No. Okay. Thanks, Dustin.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Community Services Manager, Dan McElroy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
So just a quick overview of Parks and Rec and Community Services for the last couple weeks. Our trunk or treat event was a huge success. Like Standrick said, we can't thank the fairgrounds enough for hosting us, and I can't thank enough our Parks and Rec commissioners, Patty Cummings and Cheryl Underhill, for attending and helping out, and the police department, and of course the fire department, and everyone that was there that participated, and of course all the families and kids and great costumes that we saw. It was an amazing event, so can't wait to do it again next year. It's a great venue doing it there, and it seems to go well. So next up, just kind of working on our pool bids. We have one bid out in the paper right now to let the council know, let the public know that we're seeking bids for our wintertime pool covers. So that is out there. This week we'll be having a Parks and Rec Commission meeting. At that Parks and Rec Commission meeting is we'll be allowing public comment for a potential Prop 68 grant. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and join the meeting and give us some public comments on what it would look like to renovate our pool facility, including a new slide, new playgrounds, and also a new about 3,000 square foot building as well. So with that Prop 68 rural tourism, we can apply for up to $3 million. So we're looking forward to that, getting lots of public comment so we can incorporate everything and get a design of a building going. Last up I have is just working with Tawny, working with the police chief, Destin, and everyone else to get holidays going. It looks like December 4th is Street of Lights and tree lighting. And so we'll be putting up snowflakes and all the town decorations here in the next couple of weeks. And doing a lot of cleanup, same as Destin. Leaves are falling, so here we go. And that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Thanks, Dan. I mean, it just seems like I was about to say like, oh, another season of doing more work around the park, but it just seems like it's year round, huh?
Yes, that's my life. Thank you.
No, thank you, Dan, and thank your staff as well. Okay, next up, Associate Planner and Economic Development Coordinator, Elaine Kabala.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Not many updates for me this evening. I just wanted to remind the council that we are reaching the end of the development of our specific plan and mixed use overlay. And we'll be bringing a final presentation of that document before your council in December. We will be planning to have also one final round of public input on the week of December 6th. So I anticipate it will come to the council on the meeting that will be held on the 13th. And I would really encourage the council to reach out to me directly if there are questions or any particular items that you would want to discuss prior to that meeting. I'm very happy to have those conversations. It won't be the final adoption of the plan. Concurrent to this, we have been running the California Environmental Quality Act analysis that will be necessary to for the City Council to adopt it and codify the plan. And I'm anticipating that will be complete probably in April, in spring 2022 anyway. And that's when we'll bring the final plan and the mixed use overlay before the council for adoption. But we are doing this, does sort of wrap up the grant funding for plan preparation. And so the last opportunity for the public to weigh in, provide comments, and for the council to weigh in and provide comments on the structure of this pretty important policy document that will guide land use decisions is coming up in December. That's the only thing I have this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. Yeah, we'll definitely send you our comments along if we haven't already, right, Council? Yes. Okay, and next up is City Administrator Ron Phillips. Hey, Ron.
Good evening, Mayor Mahuvi, members of the council. Good to meet with you this evening. Just lost my notes. There we go. We, in conformance with the county public health officer's order, we issued I think this was the 5th indoor mask order during the pandemic that we've updated. So our orders for city employees are now in conformance with the county orders. Destin mentioned meeting with our new grant writing consultants. I've attended numerous grant meetings with them, and they're meeting with all department heads to explore funding needs, and I'm really very excited about the possibilities. I think we've done the right thing in acquiring their services to help us apply for many different kinds of grants that will help the city if we're successful. Also, have been working with the company Western Audio Visual to develop the agreement for updating the City Council Chambers audiovisual system. And I think we soon will have a written agreement, and they'll have to go ahead to begin their work. I was really pleased to support the county's initiative on naming the new county building for Clint Quilter, drafting that letter for your approval tonight. I think that's very appropriate, and we certainly miss Clint. We have spent some time with a flooring contractor regarding replacement of flooring material in the Clark Wing building. That flooring, fortunately, is still under warranty. It was in the area that was occupied by the sheriff's office. They moved out. We found that much of that flooring had begun to warp and cause problems. So today they tore it all out, and we will have new flooring in there before long. I attended and was involved in the Planning Commission meeting 2 weeks ago, the night after your council meeting, where they recommended adoption of the proposed ordinance adopting changes to Title 16 regarding subdivisions and Title 17 regarding zoning, relating to the implementation of this new Senate Bill 9 that was adopted by the State Assembly for creation of 2 residential units per single family zone lot. So that will be coming to you in the near future. Karen Schwartz, Jenny and I participated in a contract review meeting with Tawny Thompson, Debbie Yerkes, and Julie Favor from the chamber. Also discussed with them the need for funds to repair the chamber office roof, which is leaking badly, and we're going to be proceeding on that. We'll talk more about that later in the meeting when you consider the contract with the chamber and the visitor center for money to support their efforts. We're getting started with K&N on looking at our unfunded liabilities with our pension plans. Attended with David Brodsky from K&N, the CalPERS pre-funding program workshop, and we're going to meet with them this week or next to begin discussing our options there. Excuse me just a moment. And lastly, I sent information regarding Sterling Heights to Assembly Member Devin Mathis' staff. I'd contacted them and they requested information on the project. And I'd asked for them to help look for state grant funding assistance to buy the property. So I responded to a number of their questions, and we'll see if we have any results from that, but we are working on that possibility. Appreciate all the staff efforts on the trunk or treat at the fairgrounds for Halloween. As has been mentioned, it was a great success. And I believe that's all I have. Be glad to address any questions you may have.
That's a lot of good work, Ron. Any questions, comments from the council? Nope. Look forward to seeing a plan to address our unfunded liability, which is the big elephant around the corner. So,
sure is.
I don't know, is that a saying? Whatever, second language.
It's also the elephant in the room.
Oh.
Probably two elephants.
Okay, then we'll move on to our consent calendar. Notice to the public, all matters under the consent calendar are considered routine by the city and will be acted on by one motion. Do we have any questions on the consent calendar? Any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, Robin, we have a motion, a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Mohobi.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, moving on to new business. Our first item today is the fire department water tender, where we are to consider to approve the purchase of a water tender from Burton's Fire Inc. for a lot of money. Do we have Joe Dell on here, fire chief?
I just promoted him. He should be there.
Joe?
Working on it.
All right, there you are.
You know,
Go for it.
Whoever's in charge of Zoom should make it faster. Anyways, so tonight I come to you asking for a whole bunch of money. We are in dire need of some water tenders. The intent is to replace two of our aging water tenders. One is a 1950s era dump truck that was retrofitted to be a water truck for the department, and then the other is old Safeway delivery truck that was retrofitted to be a water tender for the fire department. That Safeway truck's got over 1 million miles on it. So we're looking to replace two 3,000 gallon water tenders with one 3,000 gallon water tender, which would place a water tender at each of our 3 stations. We went out to bid in September, and then the bid closed here in October. And so it was open for more than a month. The low bid came from Burton's Fire Incorporated, who sells a Rosenbauer product. So the fire truck would be built by Rosenbauer. The lowest bid was $461,786.46, which is over what was budgeted. However, I think that we should make a move on it because I don't see apparatus prices going down in the future. The estimated delivery date of this will be January of 2023. They think it'll take, once we order it, we'll do a pre-construction meeting. It'll take 10 months to get the chassis, which will be an international all-wheel drive chassis. And then another 4 months to build the water tender around it. It's a custom build onto it. It'll be 3,000 gallons all-wheel drive with a 750 GPM pump, designed by our apparatus committee and past needs to meet the needs of the department. And so tonight I'm asking you guys to purchase the water tender from Burton's for $461,786.46. This is a split cost with the district. So the city's share is $230,893.23. And then any budget adjustments, because it won't be delivered for another year, will be placed and noted in the 22-23 budget.
I mean, that seems reasonable. I mean, and how long do Well, I know you said the other one, though, the ones we currently have are from the 50s.
So I anticipate this one will last 30 years.
Okay.
So most of our equipment has low mileage on it, and it pretty much lasts until the technology runs out. The two particular pieces that we're replacing are prior used different apparatus. One was a war truck, and and the other was a Safeway over the road, and they've lasted quite some time. So so what I believe each apparatus should live about 30 years here in Bishop.
And then the intent is to sell the other two once we have a new one. Is that right?
Yeah, they'll go in the surplus market. They're not worth a lot, but they'll be worth some. And I can't speak for Destin, but the city may want the water truck out at the water treatment plant or the ponds. But I don't know. But it's
What
definitely
about-
its useful life as a fire apparatus is over.
And is it mainly because it leaks or?
Yeah. So the 1950s era truck, the brakes aren't. It doesn't stop. So when you're running it, lights and sirens and it does have a lot of leaks in it. It's starting to rust out, and Hector's put a lot of repair into it with different little parts and pieces. So I don't know if the city could get a couple more years out of it doing stuff out at the sewer ponds, but otherwise, I mean, they're truly at the end of their life. There's no more. There's very little value left.
I mean, honestly, I was just asking these questions because I was thinking in the summer of having a city-sponsored mobile pool that goes to different blocks. The kids can jump in and cool off, but I don't know. Maybe. Keep that in mind. There, I planted a seed.
Mr. Mayor, I think Chief Dell overstated a little bit. The truck will stop. It just takes a little more effort than it should.
A few volunteers pushing it back. Karen?
So my question is, since we're replacing two with one, are you anticipating sometime in the next few years having to get a second one?
No, we had juggled the thought of getting a smaller because the 3,000 is about the biggest that we can legally do on the California roadways, and we had juggled the thought of getting a smaller one to replace it. There's ISO ratings and there's water delivery formulas and there's all sorts of different strategies for delivering water to a spot without fire hydrants. And so we decided that we could do this with the 3,000 gallon tender, the three of them together, to make 12,000 gallons of rolling water. And so I don't anticipate us needing more apparatus. We're pretty apparatus heavy. And so I'm trying to decrease our fleet a little bit, mostly to save maintenance costs and driver training and that type of thing. So what I'm trying to do is decrease our fleet to manageable areas. And so I don't feel like I don't anticipate coming to you in the near future saying, hey, we need a water tender. So.
Great,
Okay.
thanks.
I think the answer to this question is going to be no. But I'd like to ask, does it come with any warranty? For $400,000? Does it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the chassis comes with the international warranty, and then the work and the pipes and the tank, all the different parts come with, and I don't have it right in front of me, and that'll be part of the pre-construction. But I know that the tank has a lifetime warranty. I know that so there is a warranty that'll last us at least the next 5 years as we come through. And so we go through, and it's the same thing with the car on the chassis side of stuff, up to a certain mileage or time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Real quick question, Joe. This $400,000 purchase, fully outfitted, ready to go. The second we get it, we don't have to put more money into stickers and paint and lights or anything, radios?
No, this is all the stickers. This is all the lights. We'll have to send them a radio to install. we'll move any of the hose over from the old apparatus onto the new apparatus. So there should be no extra cost. Radio will be an extra cost, but they install that when we send it to them. So there's always a couple grand, but it's not going to be more than 5,000 or 6,000 extra on top of it. So,
But it's not another 2 months to get it ready once we get it.
so training and outfitting, and by the time our mechanic Don Womack gets through all of his stuff, typically when you get a new piece of apparatus, it takes a couple months to get it back out on the road.
Thank you.
And I mean, you mentioned this new tender wouldn't arrive for a little over a year. And you also mentioned that the other two have outlived their useful life. So in the meantime, are we okay?
Yeah, we're okay. The other two, the water tender 12, the 1950s era, is only getting used on like brush fires around the Station 2 area, like on the reservation, and it's going in and some back stuff. And I don't think it's actually left the fire station in over a year now. And the other one has still got another year left in it. So.
Do we have any public comment on this matter?
There's no public comment in the emails. And there are no raised hands.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a water tender from Burton's Fire Inc. for $461,786.46. This cost to be shared equally with the Bishop Rural Fire Protection District. Each entity will pay $230,893.23.
Second
I'll
that.
second.
Okay, Robin, we have a motion, a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz,
Yes.
and Mayor Moholy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Hey, Joe, don't go anywhere because our next item is the Bishop Fire Emergency Medical Services Dispatch Policy.
So as you guys know, the fire department has been what I like to call dipping our toes into the EMS over the last couple of years. Part of that is I have extensive EMS history. So moving forward, one of the things that we haven't had is a solid dispatch policy on when to dispatch us out to EMS calls. And so dispatchers had been calling me on the phone and saying, hey, should we go to this? And doing some other, kind of just off the cuff stuff, just filling in the voids when we need it. What has happened recently is there's been a nationwide shortage on EMS providers. Simons, along with all the other providers across the nation, are feeling a pinch on providers. And we were hoping to have an MOU in place, but I don't think we're going to have an MOU with Simons. And so I'd like to formally start our EMS program, and that comes with a consent from you guys to say, hey, this is a good dispatch policy. This is when we want our volunteers to go out on EMS calls. So the three situations that I have laid out here are CPR, unconscious, critical, the CPR is in progress. Our firefighters should be out helping their 2-person crew. The next in the line there is, multiple patients, abnormal circumstances, when they actually, and then they call for us to help. And then the third one is when there's no ambulance available or the ambulance is going to be delayed by more than 10 minutes. We can at least get somebody on scene to stabilize. So what I'm asking tonight is approval of this. And it's just, I think it's the progression of where our EMS program has been and where it's going. There's been a lot of staffing issues lately. We've having a hard time staffing events, having a hard time getting, ambulances where they need to be and on time. And it comes down to it's not specifically a Simons problem. It's a nationwide crisis across the region, across the state, across the country. And I think we are in a position to assist our community, and that's where I'm at tonight.
Okay, and would you say that the three criteria that you have on here, would that cover all of the calls that you guys have ended up having to do?
So those criteria are based on most need and with the intent of not burning our people out. So we're trying to walk a fine balance with our volunteer personnel on when to send them on these medical calls, and so these are what we've been seeing, and so it ties into where we're needed. A CPR call is very manpower intensive. You can imagine somebody pushing on the chest and somebody using the back valve mask and somebody, and this frees up the paramedic on their side to do the advanced drugs and those life-saving techniques, the airways and the intubations and the, and then the no ambulance available for 10 minutes. That's just a no-brainer. Like if the ambulance is busy, if they're on another call, somebody's going to show up. And sometimes all we do is hold somebody's hand and tell them it's going to be okay. But sometimes we provide life-saving measures. And so that's what I'm looking for from this typical policy. It's open too, so it's not set in stone. And so someday if we change our parameters, we can go up or down or wherever we need to go with it.
I guess I have two more questions. One is, are there any liability ramifications of going this route? I.e., will our current insurance policy cover this this new service?
So JPIA, and then also the liability insurance that the district maintains for the vehicles covers all fire and EMS calls. So very rarely does a fire department provide emergency services without EMS. So typically they're all rolled into one system. And so we've reached out to JPIA and they say that we are covered as far as liability for this. What they did note is if we do transport in our ambulance, which we have done now, that doesn't save us from a lawsuit from Simons. Now, what is happening right now is because of the COVID emergency, the local state of emergency that we remain in, is there's a special policy out stating that if there's no ambulances available, that we can use any means available for us to get the patient to the hospital. We can use EMTs, we can use police officers, we can use whatever we need. We just happen to have an ambulance. We implemented this the other night in a traffic accident, a head-on at Shepherd and Line, where we transported a critical patient to the ER when Simons was only able to take one. We took the other one, and that patient ended up with a pneumothorax and chest injuries and abdominal injuries and hip fracture and all sorts of problems. And it was a good move, and it was covered. ISEMA reviewed the call and said that it was an appropriate use. And what we don't want to do is get into the habit of just doing it. That's going to be out of the norm, but we do want to be able to take care of our constituents.
So one other question that I have is, you mentioned that in this case, ISEMA found that it was okay for you to do this, but then you also mentioned that regularly you guys will wait for the ambulance to come from Big Pine. And that doesn't fall on where is the distinction there? Why would that why would that not be subject to, say, a lawsuit from Simons, but this would?
So typically what we do is when we run a call, there's no ambulance available, we evaluate how long it's going to take for Simons to turn around, drop off the patient that they're currently taking care of, and then get to the scene of the call. And that, if it falls under 25 minutes, then we allow for them, because they have the exclusive operating rights for the area. It's their paycheck depends on those transports. And then if it's more than 25 minutes and patient care is not compromised, then we can wait for that ambulance from Big Pine. Now, the ambulance calls kind of fall into critical or not critical, and sometimes insane things that people call for that don't even require an ambulance. And so what we want to do is we want to provide the best care by getting those critical patients to the hospital without waiting, and then, and allowing for Simons to do their turnarounds for those non-critical patients, so they can receive the fees that are what allow them to operate. So, in a balance of patient care and time sensitivity, we don't want to take business away from Simons.
Jim?
What we're looking at.
You had your hand raised.
Yeah.
Did that answer that, Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe, I have one question. I'm looking through your policy manual. I read through it. It gives the reasons, it gives the criteria for a call out, but in here, I don't see anywhere what the, I see the no ambulance available, but I don't see anything that says what dispatch's priority is. Do they ambulance call? Say it meets the critical medical criteria. Is their responsibility to call Simons first? It doesn't say who makes these calls, what the criteria is for, what steps you have to take to get to where now it's us. So I was just wondering, is that written up in here, or is that?
Yeah, so that is not in this policy, and that is something that that Rich Watt and myself are kind of working out on what that exactly looks like and when that looks like. And that's more of a PD dispatch policy on, when they want to do that. Now, I'm not like one of the key factors that this relies on is Simons being realistic on like, hey, it's going to take us, 10 minutes to turn around. Hey, it's going to take us 20 minutes to turn around. And it's also going to take a little heads up on the dispatcher's fault, to know where they're at. And then they can always, default to myself or Chief O'Neill or the duty officer on duty for that day to see who they're going to dispatch and when. But those specific details on exactly how that works out, we haven't done that yet.
So can I let me just add, Council, thank you very much. I need to add a couple of comments here in terms of this dynamic. And one is that the assumption is, and I do have full faith and confidence that Chief Dell is consulting with ISEMA, with the county, and with Simons at all steps during this process. I don't really want to get into intricacies at this point in terms of what the legal ramifications are in open session with the council in terms of some of the issues. But I do know that Chief Dell has been in constant contact with ISEMA, with the county, and with Simons in terms of negotiating some of those things. And just kind of for the record, if there are certain aspects of a policy that need to be developed or that the chief needs to work on, prompted by council members' questions tonight, that those will all be co-coordinated with ISEMA, with Simons as the sole source provider. And certainly then the chief can use his discretion in terms of what the abilities are. So I just wanted to add that for this discussion because we are still in the midst of negotiations, and I know the county is looking at issues in terms of compliance with obligations under contracts and things like that. And I just don't want to get too deep in this open session before those discussions are had and those issues are flushed out. That's not to distract from the conversation tonight in terms of this policy. And this is Chief Dell's policy in terms of what he feels is appropriate, has been reviewed by JPIA, has been reviewed by ISEMA. So I just wanted to add those comments over the top of this conversation. Sorry to interrupt.
And Dean, I appreciate that, but we're being asked to basically approve a policy that has a couple little holes in it. I was just asking questions about before we approve it, because once we approve it, it's approved. And that was my concern, that we're covered. And yeah, you're answering everything right, so thank you.
Jose?
Yeah, I would like to say that, well, the city of Bishop, not just the city council, but the city of Bishop is very fortunate to have Joe Dell as fire chief because of all of the experience that he has. It includes EMS services. And we are talking about it today because he knows about EMS. It is, I'm gonna say this on behalf of the city, but I don't think the city is trying to get away the business from Simons. And we have a responsibility to provide safety to our residents. And that includes providing medical care, not only fire or police. And Simons has a moral responsibility to make sure that it's fulfilling its contract, its obligation of being the sole provider of EMS services for our city, our area. And it is clear that they are not fulfilling that commitment, that moral responsibility. And I know Joe Dell has been talking to Simons for months or more than a year to get in a MOU, and we're not getting it. So I would like to call on Simons to come to the table to talk to Joe Dell about it and to get an MOU in place for the safety of our community. Our people needs this. We cannot be waiting 10 minutes or 25 minutes to take somebody to the hospital because they may die while we are there watching them. We are putting the city at liability if we do nothing. So thank you, Joe, for doing this.
I mean, let's definitely, yeah. I mean, we definitely all are extremely fortunate in this area to have Joe here and all his expertise. And let's just keep in mind that we're talking about EMS, and the S in the EMS is a service. And our role here on the council is to make sure that our residents receive the services they need. And this is, it's unconscionable that somebody who is suffering from a critical medical trauma would have to wait 45 minutes to have any sort of an ambulance respond. And of course, when the reality is, yes, we live in a rural area where fortunately things like this, large accidents don't happen very often. But when they do, it often involves more than just one victim. And then you end up in that situation on the ambulance of who do you pick to take to the hospital for emergency care. And I think if this policy helps us better serve our community by not having to choose between who to pick, then I'm all for it. So, Karen, you've been kind of quiet.
I'm assuming you're talking about me. You know, my concern was what Jim said. And so I think the idea that this is a policy on your side that just delineates what it is that we're trying to accomplish and when we're going to go out is great. And that I have full faith that you and Rich Watt and Chief Standridge can get together and figure out the nitty-gritty of the dispatch piece. And I'm assuming a policy will come our way about that as well. So nice job.
Any Other comments, questions? Any public comment?
There is no public comment on the public comment email, and there are no raised hands.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the EMS first response dispatch policy.
I'll second that.
Hey, Robin, we have a motion, a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Mahovey.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Joe, thanks for this. I mean, it can only be a benefit to our community. So
You're welcome. Thank you.
thanks for all of that. Next up, we have a mobile data computer project, and this is going to Chief Standridge.
All right, council, it's good to be back, kind of talk about this project a little bit. As I'm sure you all are aware, this started prior to my hiring. Lieutenant Ellsworth has done a very good job in putting this together with Rich. And I think I won't go through the whole staff report with you because I know you've all had time to read it, but I just want to kind of hit some highlights of it. What the mobile computers in the cars are going to allow the officers to do is to stay out of the station, kind of like what Councilmember Garcia was talking about earlier. It's going to allow us to have more visibility in the field. It's going to make them even more mobile with the ability to start their reports in the field, complete them in the field, also cut down on airtime as our dispatch gets busier and busier. That way the officers can be a lot more self-sufficient and free up our dispatchers. As you know, even as we're talking about, we're starting to delve into the area of EMS. That's going to be even more vital. One of the other aspects that these computers really allow us to do is to enter all of the RIPA data that we're going to be tasked with starting at the beginning of the year. And I'm sure everyone's familiar, that's the racial identification program that the state started, where we have to start keeping statistics on who we stop, why. And the program's really easy to use. Maybe one of these days as council members stop by, I can kind of give you a rundown of how that program works, kind of go through one with you on the computer. But if the officers have to keep coming back to the station after every stop they make and everything they do, that's going to keep them from being out in the field available to the public. So the cost is going to be, a little right around $50,000. We have plenty of money to fund the program in the AB 109 grant account. So it's not coming out of any general fund budget monies. And in addition, I know one of the questions asked is, what type of platform does this run on? And it's going to run on a Verizon cellular data platform, which is relatively inexpensive. I think it's running right now about $29 or $30 a computer, maybe a few dollars more. So even if we ran out of grant money, we can still find the money within our budget to continue this program and pay for it. So basically with that, I'll submit. If council has any questions. If not, I just ask that you approve it so we can get them ordered.
Oh, well, you already answered my question.
I did. I knew it was coming.
I think this is anything that improves the efficiency of our officers so that they don't have to be going back and forth to the station and spending a lot of time at the station filling out reports. I think it's definitely a good thing for us in general.
One thing I did forget to add, Mayor, this program, when it's up and running, will also allow command staff to be able to look at calls for service at home. So I'll be able to log in and kind of see what's going on without having to always wait for an update, or if there is a critical incident or anything like that, it'll allow me to obtain information a lot quicker, especially when sometimes information is vital and I need to get it out to staff. It's kind of just bringing us into the next level of where we need to be as a progressive agency.
Is this, is it easy to pivot from writing a report to maybe going on a call? I know sometimes if you're in your car and will it be somewhat distracting to be writing a report when maybe someone might knock on the officer's window or they might see something? Or, I mean, I get the efficiency and I think it sounds great, but have there been problems that you've seen maybe at your prior job where people are writing their reports in their cars and they get distracted and maybe it makes it harder to write the report. I'm just curious if there's an element of that versus being in your office sort of in a very, quiet, easy place to concentrate.
No, because you pick and choose what reports you're going to do in the field, your basic petty thefts, a simple burglary, something that can be done, 10, 15 minutes time frame that doesn't take you away from the field for an extended amount of time or require a lot of in-depth research or investigation. But when you start taking those really small calls and adding them up throughout the day, because that's the majority of what we do, you can actually wind up spending, about 70% of your time in the station and only 30% of the time out in the field serving the public. So
Okay,
this
so
is
it's
going to
just
flip
easy
that
work.
narrative.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's as simple as I'm typing, citizen comes and knocks on my window, I hit boom, save. It saves me right exactly where I'm at. I can take care of what the citizen needs and then I can log right back in and get moving or, chair it for later and then, wrap up the couple of little loose ends when I do get to the station. But in all actuality, it's going to be, the benefits are going to way exceed the negativity of any type of program like this.
Any other questions, comments from the council?
If approved, when are we talking about getting this up and running?
I'm actually ordering them a little bit early. I would like to have them up and running. I'm going to give spring as a time frame because right now with some of the issues we're dealing with supply and demand. So I think we can get them quicker, but I'm looking at early spring time frame as having these fully up and running. And again, one of the things I will do when we do get them up and running, I'd like to invite council to come by and schedule some time and we'll let you see how it works. I think you'll really like how it works.
Thank you, Chief.
Hopefully it's going to coincide with our new car purchases. Sorry, Mayor. It's going to coincide so everything will just transition over smoothly. That's why we're kind of moving in the direction we are right now.
Be great. Any public comment?
There is no public comment in the public comment email, and there's no raised hands.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I will move that we approve the purchase of tablets, hardware, warranty, software, and related expenses from CDW and Sunridge in the amount not to exceed $55,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Mahovey.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thanks, Chief. And next up, we have grants and support awards for fiscal year 2021-2022. This is going to Jenny Rodrigues. Hi, Jenny.
Hi. Sorry, I had to get Rich out of the panelists.
That's fine.
Good evening, City Council members and Mayor Mahovey. Earlier this evening, we conducted the grant and support workshops conducted the grant and support workshop. Per council's recommendations, the following awards were made. Bishop Museum and Historical Society, Agents House Unobstructed, award amount $8,000. Annual Council for the Arts, Community Art Days, award amount $5,000. Annual Council for the Arts School Art Days, award amount $5,000. Eastern Sierra Artist Windows Installations on Main Street, award amount $5,000. Cal Poets, California Poets in the School, Bishop Such a Beautiful Place, award amount $5,000. Eastern Sierra Avalanche Center, Bishop Avalanche Safety and Awareness and Education, award amount $5,000. Recommendation is for City Council to approve the listed 21-22 grant and support awards.
Okay, do we have any more questions or comments from the council on this? Nope, we covered it at our special meeting. Anyone from the public?
There's no public comment in the public comment email. And there
I
are no
don't
raised
see any
hands.
raised hands. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to award the proposed 2021-2022 grant and support applications.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Robin, call for the vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, and our last item on new business is service agreements for the Bishop Area Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau and the Eastern Sierra Tri-County Fairgrounds. And this is back to you, Jenny.
Yes, it is. For fiscal year 21-22, the city of Bishop allocated $120,000 for the community promotions. Historically, the city council rewards this funding as grant and support. This year, we proposed entering into a service agreement with the Bishop Area Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau and the Eastern Sierra Tri-County Fairgrounds. This year, and I apologize, there was a typo on the agreement. It was initially going to be for $75,000, but we had a discussion with the Chamber of Commerce and they agreed to reduce it by $5,000 this year and $5,000 next year to help cover the repair cost of the roof. So the agreement is therefore for $70,000 for the Bishop Area Chamber of Commerce and $50,000 for the Eastern Sierra Tri-County Fairgrounds. Our recommendation is to approve the service agreements for the listed amounts.
Okay, and I believe since this is a contract, all the parties involved have agreed to it, right?
Yes, they have.
I mean, we budgeted it. They both provide great services. Jose, you had a comment?
Yeah, first of all, Jenny just said that we allocated $120,000.
It's 125.
The agenda report listed 115,000.
Yes, that was because of my initial mistake of listing it at 65,000 when it should have been for 70.
And in fact, we actually, when we were doing last year's budget, we allocated 125,000 for this particular part of it.
Correct.
That was in the budgeted process. Yeah. Earlier this year in June. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And I have a number of questions, and comments.
Go for
it. Good. Okay, I'll start. First of all, thank you for the work on these two contracts. I am not satisfied seeing a very detailed contract with the Chamber of Commerce and an indolent contract with the fairgrounds. It has no detail. The exhibit is a reference to the request for funding from the fairgrounds, which is a PowerPoint presentation requesting funding. We are not listing any deliverables in a fashion as we are asking the Chamber of Commerce to do that. First of all, that's just general comments about both contracts. I have a number of comments about the contract with the Chamber of Commerce, but I would like to start by asking a clarification from council staff and from Tony Thompson. And that is, who are we funding? And are we funding or contracting a service with the entity? And I say it this way, but because who are we funding? The Chamber of Commerce, the Visitors Bureau, or both? Or are we funding or are we contracting for a service? So I think we will first need to make that clear. What are we doing? And who are we doing it with?
Mr. Mayor, it's my understanding by council direction that we were encouraged to have a more detailed contract with the Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau this year than we've had in the past, because I understood council members were wanting to actually contract for the service.
That is correct. They are the marketing arm of they're effectively a marketing arm of the city of Bishop that bring in a lot of tourism, which our budget definitely relies on. And so that is why we wanted to have the direction that we gave staff was to have a more formalized contract with deliverables that that reflect that particular scope of what the Visitors Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau do. I believe, yeah. And then with regards to the fairgrounds, since this is a large sum of money, that's why we also wanted to have a comparable contract for events that they will be hosting and community contributions that they further have. Yeah, I mean, I guess in some ways, yes, this is, I guess they have a PowerPoint, but the information of their deliverables is in it. I mean, I guess I don't. So I mean, I think that explains how we ended up here, right?
So we're not funding. So any mention of funding within the contract and the exhibits should be reviewed, and it should be stated that we are contracting for a service with the Chamber of Commerce. Is that what we're saying?
Or the Visitors Bureau? I don't know what the different which is the actual. I would actually prefer that it says with the Visitors Bureau, right? Do we have Tani on here?
Can we promote Tani Thompson so that we can have her input?
Sure.
I've just promoted her.
Thank you.
Tani, are you there?
She should be.
She's unmuting.
Yes, I'm here. Can you
Hi,
guys hear
Tani.
me?
We can.
Oh, there I am. I'm pushing buttons, but they weren't reacting very quickly tonight. So can you hear me all right?
We can.
Okay, great. So was there a question for me while I was trying to connect? I'm sorry.
Jose, you were asking about whether this is a contract with the Chamber of Commerce or the Visitors Bureau.
Actually, okay, Tani, if I started the conversation by saying, okay, what are we doing? Are we providing funding or are we contracting for a service? So the consensus is that we are contracting for a marketing service, that the Chamber of Commerce is the marketing arm for the city of Bishop. So this is a contract for service. And the next question was, who are we contracting with? The Chamber of Commerce or the Visitors Bureau? Can you please provide some clearance on what the difference is?
So this organization, formally, our legal name is the Bishop Chamber of Commerce. We do have a DBA as the Bishop Visitors Bureau also. We divide our program of work into two separate arms of the organization. The Chamber of Commerce side of things is pretty much local to local, business to business networking, some business education. Like during the pandemic, the work that we did to provide the PPE would be Chamber of Commerce type work. Our Christmas festivities that we host is primarily for the enjoyment of locals. Those are traditional chamber activities. The Visitors Bureau is the side of the organization that we are the destination marketing organization. So that is where we apply our resources to attract visitors and hopefully get them to stay a while and come back frequently. So that's the marketing side, is the Visitors Bureau. Does
I
that
see,
make
but
sense?
the Visitors Bureau is in its own entity, right? And so it falls under the umbrella of the Bishop Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. And so that's why this contract is with the Bishop Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau, even though the contract is entirely for marketing, which falls under the purview of your subdivision of Visitors Bureau. Is that an accurate assessment?
Not exactly. It's close. Sorry. In the past, council has been very specific about not wanting to fund chamber activities. And I think that's probably because in some other cities or counties, chambers and cities kind of butt heads sometimes. They don't really want to get involved in funding their own argument. So they've been your council has been pretty specific about sticking to visitors things with the city's money. This contract does have a few line items in there that tend to be more Chamber of Commerce side of things. So just for clarification.
I see, but the statement about the parent company being just Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau is true. And so that's why this contract is with that entity. Is that correct? Okay.
I believe so.
Okay, does that answer your question, Jose?
Yes, and I think it helps everyone understand we are contracting for a marketing service. We're not contracting for Chamber of Commerce activities, or I don't think we can ask in this contract the Chamber of Commerce to define what is the board members' role within the community, because that is a Chamber of Commerce business. And I'm talking specifically about page B3 of the exhibits, item 11E. I'm reading, quoting, develop a board engagement or board role within the community. I think that should be completely deleted from this contract, along with any other items that Connie considers being Chamber of Commerce business.
I think, Jose, the idea of that statement, the way that I read it, was that that what we're asking as the city is for the chamber to create themselves a role within the community. We're not telling them what that role needs to be. We're just asking them to sort of move forward and have a presence. Please have a role in the community is kind of what we're saying, as opposed to dictating to them what it is we're asking, what we're saying the role needs to be.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That was my understanding.
That is related to the Chamber of Commerce. Should we even be asking that?
Ron, could you speak to this?
Maybe
Ron could speak to this.
I'm sorry?
Maybe Ron could speak to this.
Well, the agreement is with the Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. Yes, the emphasis is on Visitors Bureau activities, but it doesn't mean we can't ask for something that relates to the chamber as well.
Tony, is that something the chamber board would agree to?
I guess I'm not entirely clear on what you're still talking about B3 11E.
11E.
11E, develop a board engagement or board role within the community. I'm not, I guess I'm just not clear on what that means. We have a 15-member board of directors that is elected by the chamber member businesses. They're very active in the community, all of them in one way or another. And so I'm not sure, I guess, what the intent of that statement is, to develop a board role, a board engagement or board role. Is it more than what is happening now, or? I guess we would need a little bit more definition before I could.
I think it needs a definition, but I also think that it is invasive in the board activities or role because that is defined in the chamber bylaws.
Hold on a second, Jose. Are you playing the role of council member here, or
Absolutely.
board,
Absolutely.
or chamber board member?
I am not a board member.
Okay, because your concern there is a concern for the chamber board member, right? If they're objecting to the terms that are in this contract, they should object to it or not agree to it.
It is my job to make sure that the contract is fair in every way for all parties. I am asking because number one, I don't understand that line item, and I am concerned that the city is overstepping boundaries. I am not a chamber board member. I resigned to that when I became elected.
Sure.
And I am speaking as a council member.
Okay. Well, this is an agreement that apparently was hashed out between the executive director of the chamber board and the city. And it was my understanding that they were in agreement of it. And so, I mean, if they're in agreement of it,
you have the right to be concerned about it.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Connie and I have discussed the agreement. She took it and reviewed it. She came back to us with a number of suggestions for change, which I think we agreed to most of those. This item was not mentioned, as I recall, in that discussion. It's simply making a very general statement related to making sure the board has a vision and for the community, and they state that vision. It's not something that we're going to measure or ask that it be done differently or whatever. It's very general, and I don't think it's a problem for them.
And to follow on to that, I would imagine if it were a problem for them, that Tanya would bring it up.
In all honesty, I did mean to ask Ron for clarification of it during our meeting, and I forgot to. But I also take it as something that's broad and probably okay. Our executive committee has reviewed it, and they did not bring up a problem with it.
Okay.
And I would like to note that I would like to see the city in this capacity support the chamber, with the line items that are mentioned. I don't think that there's a problem with the city funding some chamber-related activities as stated in this contract, because that does promote, a lot of our businesses do cater to the tourists, and the chamber helps promote business-to-business activities. And I think it's really important to have the chamber side also, involved with some of the city's help.
And Karen, if I could add something to that, the BTID assessment, there are certain things that it cannot pay for. And so chamber type activities, education for the businesses and that kind of thing is something that would be very helpful to apply the city funds for that and use the BTID for what it's specifically for, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Another point that I would like to make is that originally we allocated $75,000 for the Chamber of Commerce for this service, and that it got changed to $10,000 less, $5,000 this year, $5,000 next year, to repair the roof. The city is the landlord. The city is responsible to fix the building without reducing the funding. I know the chamber board agreed to $5,000 less, but I don't think that's right. that we asked for that.
Well, hold on. They don't actually pay us anything.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I know.
So we are the owners of the building, but we're not asking for any compensation for their use of that building. So all we're asking for is a little bit towards the roof. So I don't think it's a problem. It'd be different if they were paying rent and we were asking for some sort of donation.
If they were
towards the
paying
roof,
rent,
but-
Still, the agenda says $25,000 in-kind donation on top of the 65,000. So we are considering that they are.
You know, this building we discussed in our meeting is, if you talk about landlords, it's in a state of disrepair, and you know it needs a lot of help. And we talked about in the meeting a shared strategic plan in figuring out some sort of infrastructure, future infrastructure improvements for the chamber and the visitor center to be located, you know, in maybe a new building, but we need to partner with the chamber and the visitor center with this vision together. And I think, you know, Tani is in the meeting was, you know, aligned, and I think this is just a step in them acknowledging that, like, yes, we can use some of our money that the city gives us towards, you know, potential future infrastructure improvements. Not to say that that's going to be the standard moving forward, but it's just something that it was unexpected on both ends. Neither of us had budgeted for it. So we both need to take part in sharing the expense.
And the roof repair, speaking with Tyson and Dan, it's not a permanent solution. It's something that will hopefully buy us enough time to come up with a plan and hopefully go after some grant money or other sources of funding for a new building or a significant improvement to this one, because it's not just the roof that's got problems. I mean, you guys have talked about the stilts that were on. They're not touching the bottom on some sides. So there's some we don't go on one side of the building very much, but it's serious. It is going to get serious, more serious in the next couple of years. So this roof repair is a temporary thing.
So I mean, I hear you. I guess to bring it back on track, Tani, are you happy with this contract?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I didn't see us trying to argue a contract with the mobile data computer project from a separate vendor. I didn't see us trying to argue about terms in a contract about a fire water tender. It is staff's job to present to us a contract that the two parties are has been vetted. And Jose, are you saying you are not happy with this contract from the city's standpoint?
I just don't agree. With everything in the contract, I don't think it's fair. But if both parties agree, if Tani on representation for the Chamber of Commerce is in agreement, I have nothing else to say.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment in the public comment email, and there are no raised hands.
Okay, do we have any other comment, or I'll entertain a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the service agreements with the Bishop Area Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center and the Eastern Sierra Tri-County Fairgrounds.
I'll second that motion.
With the correction of $70,000 instead of 65,000.
Correct, with that correction.
Thank you.
Okay, Robin, we have a motion, a second.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Abstain.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Mahovey.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-1.
4-0. 4-0.
No, 4-0, yeah. Councilmember Garcia abstains.
Okay. Thanks, Tawny. Glad it worked out.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, future agenda items. Jose, do you have anything?
I do.
Go for it.
I would like to agendize a discussion on, let me pull it up, on the city's municipal code, chapter 17.75, accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. We are promoting housing because we have a crisis. And I think there are some items, some requirements in this municipal code that can be adjusted, make them more easily for residents to have these ADUs built and help with the housing crisis. So it is Municipal Code Chapter 17.75, accessory dwelling units. I would like for us to formally discuss them.
Okay, I believe that's coming up on our docket because we need to revise that whole chapter anyway with SB 9 having passed recently. Is that correct, Ron?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Cool. Karen Kong,
I got nothing.
Jim.
Nope.
Okay, Karen Schwartz.
I don't have anything.
Okay, I don't have anything at this time for future agenda items. Council and committee reports. Same order. Jose.
I have nothing. None of the committees that I'm assigned to had a meeting in the last 2 weeks, so nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, Karen Kong.
I have nothing to report as far as committee meetings are concerned. I do want to say that I have spoken with, I know and have spoken with several of the families involved in the tragedy from 2 weeks ago, and that they are overwhelmed and feel incredibly grateful for the community support that they've been getting through their time of need. And I just wanted to be able to express that for them, that they feel very much sort of hugged in the warmth of community members during this really awful time. So.
Jim, any council committee reports?
No committee reports. I want to apologize to Karen Schwartz. I missed a SCOG meeting on Friday. I was back in the Midwest and I set my alarm, but apparently my whatever program we use for my schedule was on California time and I was on some other time. So my alarm went off about an hour after that meeting went off though, so it went pretty good. Along that note, I spent some time in the Midwest this past week and cruised around a lot of little towns in 5 different states. And I had an opportunity to go to a couple small towns and go visit their city hall, go look at their city hall chambers where they meet, and speak to some council members in different cities and the city administrator in a city in Kansas. And a lot of the same problems we have, they have on different levels, but just for you guys, we're doing a good job and considering what we, what the community's like and what the economic environment's like and the COVID, they're all doing the same battle. So it was good to get out and represent Bishop and see kind of what the other parts of the country are doing. So there you go.
Cool. Glad you're back. Karen Schwartz, any committee reports?
Well, I attended the ESSRP meeting, which isn't really like a committee that I'm on, and you all are invited to attend if you are interested. It's the first Monday of every month, and it's a great way just to connect with all of the different community, like government community leaders, like the Forest Service and the BLM and Mammoth, and it's the projects that we're talking about are all very much, the ESSRP projects that affect our community, such as the Buttermilk Infrastructure Project that's hopefully going to get funded. So I welcome any of you to join the meetings. It's not limited to just me. So please come. And I, like Ron mentioned, I met with Tawny and some chamber members to review the contract. And then we did have a quick SCOG meeting, Jim, that you didn't meet. You didn't miss much. It was just to comply with the Brown Act rules where we have to meet every 30 days. And then I just wanted to give a shout out to Bishop and our huge wins at the Kit Carson soccer tournament. Bishop we took a lot of first places there. So that was really exciting. And they all wore armbands for the 3 girls that died. And that was really, it was great. And there was a lot of team spirit. So it was a good weekend up at Kit Carson. And I'm sorry I missed the trunk or treat and I wasn't in town for the Climbers Festival, but I heard it was the biggest one that they've had yet, 500 people, and a lot of great stewardship. And there was a lot of good presentations. My husband was especially wowed by the presentation by the tribe. He really thought that was a highlight. So that is it for me.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't have any actual city-related meetings in the last couple of weeks. There will be an LTC meeting in a week. And Halloween was fun. The Climbers Festival was pretty fun, I must admit. And I got older. That's all that I could say over the past couple of weeks. And I will adjourn our meeting until Monday, November 22nd, 2021 at 6 p.m. Have a great night, everyone.